morning, everybody. So nice to be here. I do love doing PowerPoint. What were the days when you could go in and just say you could talk, you know, without having images to entertain everybody? But no, and remind me of what I was going to say. Now, because you get credits for this, you know, and you people here that know about these credits know how much you want these. You have to read this little thing saying that we're complying with all the requirements from the AIA and the APA, and you can get these credits when you fill out the forms. And because you're getting these credits, I have to tell you what you're going to learn. And then actually, if you'd like to go, you can. But we can enhance on what you're going to learn after I go through this. So this is what you're going to learn. Whoops, I keep pointing at that. This is the handy thing. Mike, okay, that's good. Just sort of lean toward, yeah, that's good. If he's being friendly, you know why. That's why. Sort of, okay. Well, I'm going to tell you, and I'm sure you've heard this, but I'm just going to sort of reinforce this. We are in big, big, big trouble. Far more trouble than any of us ever really want to acknowledge. And we are in trouble because of stuff, all kinds of stuff. This is a very profound lecture. I want you to know that we are in trouble because of stuff. And the big thing about stuff is that stuff does not make us happy. We think it does, but it doesn't. And the thing about stuff is that it does not make the planet happy either, which makes us even less happy. So it just goes round and round. And the thing to remember, of course, is that buildings are stuff. And everything that we put into buildings is stuff. So saving buildings is good. It's very good. And I would add, in Virginia, of course, saving open space is very, very good. And we're very grateful to you and the rest of the country. But it's not enough. We really have to do more. And this group has a particular obligation, I believe, to do more. And so that's what we're going to end on. We're going to try to tell you just how dire it is, try to give you some guidance, and try to ask that you leave the room, not with your head between your hands, but as Kathleen said, with your heads up, ready to go out for the good fight, which is even more urgent than you can possibly realize. So, about a year ago, I started working on a book, which is still tentatively called Sustainable Preservation, the Greening of Existing Buildings. Although I've been thinking recently that it should be called Green Preservation, Sustainable Existing Buildings. But that's because I started it a year ago, which was good because it was due last August. And, you know, this was one of those misconceptions that a publisher had that just because I was a good architect, I could actually write a book. And which was a really, really silly misconception on my part. But I had been doing a lot of work on greening existing buildings. I had worked on some really extraordinary buildings. I had spoken a lot. I've been part of some really interactive groups, fortunately, that Mike Jackson and Patrice are part of, and Ron Staley and other speakers here, and Bert, that are really about making this planet better and taking care of the heritage that we have. I've worked on Trinity Church. I put in, 6 ground source heat pumps, gotten a lot of press for it. It was a very successful project. So nominally, I was an expert in what it meant to green an existing building to take care of our heritage. And for a year, I've worked on this book, very, very close. It's sort of like the half-life of an isotope. It's just like moving down there, but it's real close. And but I would say, as my 20-year-old daughter says to me, Mom, you have become such a downer this year. You are, and I apologize to people here who are named Deborah, but you are Debbie Downer. And so, she'll come in and she'll have a water bottle in her hand, and I'll start to say something, she'll say, nope, no, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. You are just a Debbie Downer. And, my son will come in, and heaven forbid that I should discourage a 17-year-old from picking up a cleaning product. But he'll pick up a cleaning product and I'll say, did you know? And he'll say, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. So we keep moving. The family keeps moving, and I just keep pointing out that it's so much worse than the headlines, and it's so much more than just climate change. it's really also about how climate change is going to affect our historic buildings and our historic resources. And we have just begun to understand that. It is very, very complicated. And it is, so with every place I turned, the information would be more complicated, more oppressive, and more discouraging. So this will whip through this part, the downer part. But I really began to understand and believe that some of this leaped back to things that I had studied to date myself in the 1960s and 1970s about an economy that is completely dependent upon growth and completely dependent upon consumption. And of course, that was really a very targeted approach that happened in the 1950s after World War II and became the norm, that consumption and the idea that products would wear out was part of what kept our economy going, and is still a very, very key idea in our economy and very key within the green movement. And I'm sure that Mike will say something, possibly, about windows and the idea that a replacement window may not have the durability of some historic windows. Just in case he doesn't, I'll throw that in, but you can ask him about it later. So we have created a culture and a world which is all about disposal, which is all about the use of materials to make materials, and materials then are moved very quickly into the waste stream. The statistics on this are quite boggling. In my downer mode, I'll tell you that most of the things that you touch, most of the things you buy, are actually within the waste stream within about 6 months. They may have taken several years to get to you, but they are out of your hands and into some kind of waste stream within just a few months after purchase. And that is the bulk of almost everything that we have in our society. We move it through very quickly, and we move it into the waste stream. And of course, once it's in the waste stream, it does untold damage as well. But before it even gets to the waste stream, it has done damage. And this is the change in waste pattern that has happened over the last 100 years of what we are throwing away. And what was interesting to me when I first saw this was I didn't understand in the 1905 image why that little gray bar, which is called ashes, what it was. Well, that was coal ash. And that was what people used to heat their homes, and they disposed of it in dust bins that were picked up by a new business, which the Metropolitans became